I got scammed $10,000, completely gone overnight.
This is a very expensive set of shelves that you have right here, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up very quickly.
How much of that 2.6 million is like actual profit?
I'm hoping it's like...
This is Brian. 3 years ago, he started flipping sealed Pokemon cards in his basement, and to date, he has now sold over $5 million in cards from home with no employees. Today, I want to know how he did it, what other resellers can learn from his business model, and what other people can do to get started in this business. Brian, thank you so much for having me in your Pokemon basement. You know, on this channel, we're very money positive. So in that spirit, how much money do you make?
So this year, we're gonna do about 2.3 million in sales.
Unbelievable. In just sealed Pokemon card product on your website.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk a little bit more about your specific model later. I'm really excited to get into it because it's really unique coming from like an Amazon background. But how much of that 2.6 million is like actual profit? This is something you're really open about on your channel that I'm always inspired by.
Yeah, so the profit, depending on the set, we'll do between like 15% margins on some items and up to like 22% on really good ones.
Okay, so 15 on the low end then is kind of what you try to stick to.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Do you have any idea like how this year might round out in terms of totals?
Well, after all the expenses, shipping labels are a huge one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's like 300 grand in profit.
Dang, dude.
Like that.
Well done. From your Nebraska basement, by the way. I love this setup that you have down here. I kind of feel at home, away from home with my basement business. Can you talk briefly about the kinds of products that you're stocking back here? I mean, you've got all kinds of gorgeous shelves of Pokemon and other random stuff.
They do look very pretty. So here is kind of like the English stuff, great for collectors and people that want to play the actual card game.
Yeah.
And then this is mostly just for collectors. This is like the Korean section. And then we've got some more Korean cards. The rest of it's mostly Japanese Pokemon.
Yeah. And you've been at this for only 3 years now. You started in 2020, is that right?
Yep.
How did you start, especially in like a product that has relatively low margins? Was that super cash flow heavy to just get into it?
Yeah, so year one, the margins were great. Things changed a little bit, but we just got started. Again, 2020, it was crazy. A lot of folks were scalping all the English stuff from retail stores.
Yeah.
You couldn't find Pokemon cards anywhere. So I met some folks in Japan and we started importing Japanese cards just to kind of fill that gap.
Interesting. So you saw an opportunity in the market of a demand for a product that was in super scarce supply, trying to offer it at a cheaper price point, just in a different language.
Yeah, just filling the gap.
Wow, that's really smart. And do you mind if I ask, like, how much money did you actually have to start this business?
Not much at all. A couple $1,000s, but you don't even need that.
And from that couple thousand, you have now grown to the point of doing $2.5 million in a single year. What is your like average sale price per order?
Average price is $260.
Wow. So you're still making a decent bit of profit on average for every order that you're actually shipping.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your fulfillment setup and like what the workflow looks like in this space?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. So we start the morning by just kind of looking at this iPad here, which I rigged up. The orders will come in here, and what we'll do is we'll just fill this cart up with all the product. And it's convenient because I just have to walk around this little area.
I love this cart, by the way. I'm kind of jealous of it.
But the cart's just so convenient. And you wheel it over here, and then what we'll do is we'll just package stuff up with our setup. And when that's all packed up, we'll move here to like the labeling section.
Wow.
And yeah, it just kind of stacks up here until we bring it upstairs.
And until very recently, this is a process that you were doing entirely on your own, is that right?
Yes.
What made you decide to make the jump to hiring a part-timer and like actually starting to scale your business? It's obviously still in the basement.
Well, I'm 30 and I'm working like 80 to 90 hours a week, and I realized I can't do this forever. So might as well start now.
That's a super tough question for resellers and entrepreneurs like us, is like, how much do you really want out of the business, and how much are you willing to, like, how much liability are you willing to take on relative to like the money that you're making? Do you think you'll scale much beyond this point? Are you trying to open up like a warehouse or a card store, anything like that?
That stuff stresses me out. I'm gonna probably keep it at this level. Most likely this will be around what I sell forever, and I'm good with that.
Wow. Okay, so you don't really have ambitions of going to like 5 million or 10 million or beyond?
No, if I could do 5 million in a year, that would be as good as I want to do.
That's really powerful for me to hear. I don't hear a lot of talk in this space about knowing exactly when enough is enough, especially like once you reach those higher levels of sales, right? And revenue and profits that you're taking home. At what point do you stop and let yourself kind of ease off? Do you have a goal of eventually making this more passive? Do you want to hire more people and do less work?
I don't know if I could. I think my body just needs to work. So I should do that.
Yeah.
But I don't see that in the future.
But you've built a business that allows for you to
Yes.
kind of have the lifestyle and scale up and down the way that you want to.
On a day-to-day basis, it's nice having the flexibility. If I want to go downtown, go to a
Right.
movie, I can do that.
That's incredible.
We just got to label these suckers and then get them in the mail. We've got a bunch of boxes kind of pre-made. Looks like a freaking Papa John's in here.
So folks, I just discovered my new favorite item in the Pokey basement, which is this leaner chair. Don't be surprised if I am just spinning like a giddy child this whole time. But Brian, I want to hear from you. How have you actually like scaled your business from starting with just a few $1,000s in 2020 to the point where it is now? What were the tactics that you used?
Yeah, so the first thing we did was we imported some Charizard promo cards and we were just selling them on an eBay store. Very quickly, I realized eBay fees are expensive. So I decided I'll make a little landing page on, Wix, a little drag and drop website. And I just marketed that on TikTok. And I made a ton of videos, way too many videos on this promo card.
Okay.
And I think people began to get annoyed by the videos because one of the buyers was like, hey, sell something else. And they suggested Japanese booster boxes.
Okay.
And so I was like, I don't know how to get those. But I jumped on Instagram, met some Japanese folks, took a risk, and they gave me the booster boxes. And so we started putting those on the website. They got a lot of traction, and before I knew it, it was starting to scale a bit, thanks to some new sets that were pretty popular.
Okay, so did you have to do a whole lot of like social media marketing to get it to that point, or was it sort of gaining traction organically just because of the demand?
Tons of social media.
Okay.
We were too much. We were doing 10 to 12 TikToks a day.
Wow.
Because our logic was TikTok, it's such a huge platform. Chances are people would only see the videos a couple times each, and chances were one of them would go viral. So.
Well, and you've got a really fascinating model because a lot of us coming from the reseller world, we kind of assume that the options are just like eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, whatnot, using a pre-existing platform and just paying the fees in exchange for their current user base.
Definitely.
But you've gone a completely different route. You built your own site to avoid the fees, you said. Talk to me about the pros and cons of that business model.
Yeah, so control is definitely a big one. I can kind of own each contact. So I have access to the address, phone number, email, and that's really valuable.
Wow.
Because eBay has a lot of that when you sell on there. And then another pro is just the lack of fees. Because in this business, margins are so horrible.
Right.
When I did like garage sales full time, margins were great, but a 10, 13% margin from or a fee from eBay, it cuts so deep into your profits. It's not possible.
Is that a big part of why social media has been so crucial for you in building your business, because you have your own platform you're trying to drive people to?
Yeah, it's huge. And that's one of the cons of having your own website is you don't have the power behind, like eBay is such a powerful company. They basically market your stuff for you. With my little website, you have to put a face to the website so they know that the customers know it's a legitimate site, a legitimate business that won't rip them off. And so you have to get out there in social media.
That makes sense. So I cut you off a little bit. You were starting to do like 12 TikToks a day, driving people to your website. What happened next?
Yeah, so what happened next was I realized I couldn't keep up with the demand with my small amount of capital because there was a new set, Shiny Star V, it was very popular. And if I bought, say, 20 boxes, which is all I could really afford at the time, it would take a few days to get here from Japan, and then I'd sell them quickly, but then there'd be this dead space where I had to order more from Japan, and the website was constantly out of stock. So what I started doing was leveraging two types of debt, and they're both interest-free. One of them is customer debt, where I basically go, hey, pre-order Shiny Star V, ships in 10 days. The people would buy it. I'd take their money, go to Japan, buy what they already bought, and kind of go back and forth. And simultaneously, I would do credit card debt, where I just use a credit card, buy the inventory. I have 30 days to pay it back, interest-free. So with that, I was able to scale because there's always stuff on the site.
That makes sense. So talk to me about, from a buyer perspective, why would somebody go to pokini.com rather than like an eBay or Amazon?
Yeah, to be honest, it's hard to know. Now they all know me, trust me, like me. At the time, I certainly wouldn't have bought from a random person on TikTok, but I think having a face to the name and just kind of my raw style, I didn't do it very professionally. I was very human and like relatable. And I think people just like that instead of buying from like a cold, heartless company.
Yeah. How did the prices compare?
My prices were pretty much better than everyone else's because I was okay not taking a huge margin.
Yeah.
I operate out of my house, so there's not a lot of overhead, which gives me a huge advantage.
Well, I imagine that helped a ton too, is like people know you, like you, and trust you from social media, and they're getting a better deal than they could necessarily get on eBay or Amazon because those sellers are paying so much in fees.
Yeah.
So I think it makes a lot of sense when you're dealing with a product that has as much demand as Pokemon to go that route and be able to leverage more those like personal connections.
100%.
You said something really interesting on your channel recently about how a lot of people will get into the Pokemon card business, or I think collectibles in general, because they think it's going to be fun. Is it fun?
The day-to-day tasks, no, absolutely not. It's fun. The freedom is fun.
Yeah.
Owning a business is fun. The day-to-day tasks, very mundane. I come down here, I pack orders, I put labels on them. But having your own business and being in control of the marketing, the social media, interacting with the customers and the community, that part's fun.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should at least give it a shot.
If people are looking to get into a market like this, where the margins are small, if they're saying, hey, I've only got a few $100 to spend, would you necessarily recommend a product like this with small margins, or would you start somewhere else? Is there a different kind of Pokemon card flipping you could do?
Yeah, so a lot of folks, they'll start with like single cards and they'll grade them, put them in the little PSA sleeve or case and sell those. That's a good entryway. But ultimately, even the sealed product, you can start really small. And a couple $100, that's all you need. As long as you're not buying more than you can sell, like don't get into debt. But it's very accessible for people no matter what their budget is.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what you said earlier of using pre-orders as a way to boost cash flow, I had never even, there's no tool for that on Amazon or eBay.
No.
That's something really cool that you can do with a website, so that really gets my wheels turning.
Yeah, I had no idea the power of pre-orders. It's a free loan.
Yeah.
As long as you deliver on the product, which there are risks to that, but I was very lucky and I got through it just fine.
That makes sense.
The Pokemon trading card game. All the creatures, all the battles. Grab your starter pack and start playing the Pokemon trading card game. Good, clean fun.
All right, so folks, this part of the basement is what I was really excited to get to right here. What the heck are we looking at, Brian? I mean, this is crazy.
So this is kind of the warehouse, I call it. And it is quite crazy. A lot of this stuff is English. Most of it's English. It comes from our distributor. And so the English stuff we get from like an official distributor.
I have a little box of goodies right here. Sorry,
so
I'm distracted.
excessive.
I'm like a kid in a candy store here.
We've got just all this stuff, and a lot of this is kind of sellable immediately, but piles like this is more of the result of getting brownie points from a distributor because yeah, a lot of people, they think, a new set comes out that's really popular. They think they can just phone a distributor up and say, hey, I'm a new business. I want 20 of these. That's not how it works. What you've got to do is once you get in a distributor's, queue, you have to buy stuff like this, which this is not a popular set. This is stuff nobody wants.
So this is like kind of like dead weight.
It's essentially dead stock.
Yeah.
But because I bought so much of it from the get-go, the distro, my manager was like, ooh, this guy, he's willing to spend some money on stuff that no one really wants.
Is this
We're gonna hook him
also
up later.
some stuff that no one wants?
This is also some stuff no one wants.
Okay, so just as an example, we've got Trainer's Toolkit. We've got a little piggy here with a action figure. Yeah, I would not pick that up in a Walmart either.
It's cute, but that's all it's got going for it.
So this is basically like bad product that you just have to kind of eat in order to be able to buy the kind of stuff that you really want.
But if I buy $20,000 of stuff, I can sell it for maybe $18,000. I lose $2,000. But now I'm in their good graces, and now I can get stuff like this.
Wow.
This is
crazy.
What are these? Paradox Rifts. This is like the newest English set. And since I, blessed the distributor, he blessed me back.
Okay, so as we hop into some of the other aisles, because it doesn't stop here, folks.
Yes.
I want to ask you about like one side of Pokemon cards that isn't as big on the video game side and is definitely not as big like in the rest of the collectibles scene is investing. Like a lot of people purchasing a ton of sealed product just to sit on it and hold it as an investment. Is that something that you really mess with personally, or do you kind of stay away from it? How many of your buyers are really into that?
Lots of buyers.
Okay.
So there's kind of two ways to look at Pokemon investing. Some people get really passionate about it and they think holding on to one thing in their closet is going to get them rich, and it probably won't.
Yeah.
What we
That
do,
was me at one point, guilty. Yeah. I think it was Shining Fates maybe that I was
Fates.
holding for a little bit.
Yep.
But of course, you know, I bought in 2020 and I was a total joker about it. Ended up getting bored and just selling it like a year later. I'm pretty sure at a loss. So
That's how
don't
it
be
goes.
like me, folks.
When you're a business, you know, I buy a lot of excess. So if I know I'm going to sell, say, 500 of this particular item, I'll buy 700 of them and hold on to 200. But it's not like I'm holding on to them. It's more, they're still on the site, they're still for sale. I'm just not fire selling them because a lot of folks in my position, they've got overhead, they've got invoices they have to pay. They'll buy all this stuff and then they'll need money for the next invoice and they'll just sell it for cost or even at a loss just to keep going another day. Well, I'm blessed where I don't have to do that. So I can store all this back here as an investment, and you know, they always appreciate these booster boxes. I anticipate this value to double within 10 years.
So talk to me about like in this single box, how many packs are in here? How many cards are in here?
Yeah, so this is a case of English, so there's 6 booster boxes. Each booster box has 36 packs, and each pack has 10 cards, so math.
Yikes.
Yeah, so each booster box, these are like kind of basic modern sets.
Okay.
It's about $105, $110 per box, so add it up, like 600-ish bucks.
Per long box.
Yes.
So this is a very expensive set of shelves that you have right here, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up very quickly.
Wow. So does it scare you? I mean, I'm sure people are going to ask, like, are you insured? What if this place burned to the ground? How much money are you losing?
We are very insured.
Okay.
Yes, because I mean, each one of these is 600 something bucks, and there's 175 of them.
How many like old-ish sets are you still sitting on from like a year or two ago, or 3 years? I don't know what's old for Pokemon.
Yeah, so I don't have any like vintage, unfortunately. We started in we got our English distributor in 2021. So we started with a set called Brilliant Stars. I do have a bunch of those, and I try my best to keep like 5 to 10 cases of each set, no matter how much they're selling.
Yeah. Wow, it just keeps going back. It's kind of spooky. I kind of like it back here. Wow. I can't imagine. So, like, how often are you coming back here to pull more stuff? Is this like relatively like stagnant inventory? How long are you going to hold most of this stuff?
Yeah, so a lot of it's pretty stagnant, but what's fancy is the shelves that we saw in the beginning of the video with all the pretty boxes. Those all have wheels on them. So we'll wheel them back here if we need to kind of refill. But for the most part, a lot of this, it's just kind of back stock. We bring it up front every couple weeks, and I don't need capital, so I'm okay holding this stuff for 10, 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Retirement, maybe. I don't know.
You've come a long way from that few $1,000, man. Good for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
That's inspiring.
I appreciate it. 2-minute Pokemon business vlog, day 3. Here's my living room. Totally normal stuff. Everyone has 150 orders in their living room, right? Let's move these to the garage.
All right, so as we set up here in front of the box graveyard back here, man, your channel is very tactical. That's one of the biggest things that I love about it. What are some business principles that you've been thinking about recently, and how have they impacted your business and your bottom line?
Yeah, so the number one thing, which I've learned over the years, is people like transparency. And that's not just like honesty and not ripping people off. It's like they want raw content. I rarely use a camera mount. My angles are usually pretty horrible. It's a lot of selfie videos, a lot of self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
That seems to be the number one thing as far as like build business principles, along with delivering the product and you know, not selling out, not weighing packs or manipulating anything, just honest business. I've got a whole playlist on YouTube just teaching people how to do exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And I don't hold anything back. And
it's not like pay $1,000 and then I'll teach you how to build this business, which you could charge for that.
I could, yeah. There's no guru charge with me. I definitely could charge probably a couple $1,000s for it because it's everything I've learned over 3 years, just condensed for everyone to do, including all my mistakes, which there are a lot of. But the reason I do it is because, number one, 99% of people, they just want to watch it. It's just fun content. Like your folks here, they might not want to start a business. It's interesting. 1% of people will be interested in the business. They might make an attempt. 1% of those people will make a business that competes with me. So it's pretty risk-free making like transparent content, and I have fun with it. And $80,000 in sales per month on the main site. I wrapped my car with a Marnie anime theme. I ran a weekly pop-up shop in my local mall now. And best of all, I was able to quit my full-time realtor job and focus 100% on the business.
I've had so much luck just having an abundance mindset in terms of the information that I'm giving out. Like I found I get so much more goodwill and increased business connections from just putting genuinely good information out there than I do increased competition. Like it's not even close. So I love that philosophy. And I also love how I found so often when I ask really successful people about business practices, a lot of it comes back to the fundamentals.
It does.
This would always have, like my grandpa was one of the best business people I ever knew. And I would always ask him for like business advice, and it would come down to like, when you set a meeting with someone, get there 15 minutes early, right? Like look people in the eyes when they're talking to you, honor your word. And it sounds a little bit trite, but boy, you do that compounded over 5 years and your reputation really starts making you a lot of money.
It does, and reputation is the most powerful asset you can have in a business, especially with this stuff. You can buy Pokemon cards anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're also very easy to fake and cheat with.
Yeah.
So if you have reputation, even if your prices are higher than the competition, people will buy from you.
You said something really interesting in a video recently, that your suppliers now that you're putting such large orders in, they have a higher incentive to treat you well than they do to cheat you.
Yes.
Can you talk some about that? Because we have a very heavy partner-based business as well.
Yeah, so obviously when you meet a new supplier, there is a small amount of risk involved when you do like a first transaction with them, especially overseas. But the first thing I always do is use PayPal, goods and services. It protects you in case something happened. But eventually you get to the point where you're like, I want to wire money directly, because you save money on fees. Once you get into enough business, yeah, that's kind of the mindset. It's like, from the Japanese or Korean perspective, they can make more money from me treating me right than they could cheating me. If they cheat me on one transaction, they might get $5,000 out of me. But if they take care of me, they treat me right, again, that reputation, over the lifetime, they're going to get, hundreds of thousands. So it makes sense. It makes more sense for them to be honest than to try to cheat.
100%. And I can say also from I guess we're both on the buyer's perspective from there, but that's the philosophy that we take in to our relationships with everyone who sells us stuff regularly. I would so much rather take a short-term loss or break even on something, but maintain a relationship than get my money up front, but then I never do business with that person again. And I feel like a lot of people, they don't want to make that short-term sacrifice. Can I tell you something that kind of spooks me about your business model?
Yes.
As someone, coming from the video game world, normally used to higher margins, I would be thinking about oh my gosh, if I'm only making 15% on this product and something goes wrong, right? Someone scams me, something happens in shipping, right? Some big order just goes missing, or I ship it to the wrong place.
Done that.
How many items worth of profit did I just lose by one item going out the door? Does that scare you at all?
Yep, it does, but you have to get over it, and you just have to ignore it, which is the weirdest piece of advice. What's good is when you're starting out, say you're doing 10 transactions a week, chances are those are all going to go well. And maybe once a month you'll have an issue like you're describing. And yeah, it hurts. But you're not going to have that many issues at 10 transactions. And then once you get 100 transactions a week, you might get a few more. But the problems kind of come with the sales. So proportionally wise, when you accept there's going to be some disasters, you just kind of factor it into the prices and your mental health.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I had one thing, I can go into detail, but where I got scammed $10,000. It's completely gone overnight. This will be a great lesson for you customers out there.
Yeah.
We had this whole issue, this whole it was almost like a gang of people from Chile, and they bought stuff in huge amounts from my store, different names, different dates, just kind of over the course of a month, thousands of dollars. And I don't ship to Chile, I ship to the United States only, but they were having me ship it to this global shipping platform. I didn't know about these things yet, and I took any credit card that came in. I had very low security. So over the month, I'm shipping thousands of dollars to these global shipping platforms without even knowing. They get shipped to Cuba, and then boom, 1 month, all the chargebacks happen. So the customers that had the credit cards of the Chile people stole information from, they all wanted their money back because they're victims of credit card fraud. And unfortunately, that falls back on me. When all was said and done, I lost $10,000 on that one incident, and God, it hurt.
Dude, the saddest thing is I would 100% have made that same mistake. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to avoid it. Hopefully, if anybody watching is going into the business, maybe they can. Talk to me about other things that, like, people can be very rosy when they're going into a business, especially if it involves something as fun as Pokemon or collectible cards. What do they not expect about the reality of running a card business?
Yeah, so besides the obvious things like how long it takes and how it takes over your life, there are other problems that come up risk-wise. So number one, if you're wiring money to people, they could just leave, especially if it's global. Like if you wire $10,000 to a supplier,
right,
there's nothing protecting you.
Yeah.
And I've heard horror stories where people just lose their money.
And how often are you doing that? Like with the people, do you do that with people that you've worked with consistently now?
Yeah, so every day I wire probably $5,000 to $10,000 of stuff, and then if a new set comes out, at one time I wired $80,000 over, and
oh my gosh,
it's scary because I mean they could be honest people, they could get hit by a bus tomorrow,
right,
and then who's going to pay that back?
You're banking on their incentive to cooperate with you rather than like overcoming that short-term gain. That short-term 80K bag that they could make
short-term gain.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
And obviously, like, it takes a while to get to that scale, but just the concept of having to trust folks, I didn't realize simply selling stuff online would require so much of that trust and faith in people.
Yeah.
I just thought, I work for myself, I don't have to worry about myself. Also, market volatility. I mean, this in the game world, like you could buy something and think, I made $10 on this, I'm gonna buy 200 of them. And then the market crashes, or enough people on Amazon find it on clearance too, and they overflood it, and then you're either stuck with that inventory, or you have to fire sell it to live another day.
Right.
I learned that the hard way as well.
Dang, so you were overexposed in a certain product that tanked. And did you fire sell it? Did you keep it? What happened?
Oh, it was awful. So I mentioned earlier Shiny Star V, that was like the set that started us, and we were making really good margins on it. It's like 30% margins, which amazing.
Okay.
And then in the Japanese market, it went down a lot in price. And I was like, huge opportunity, I'm gonna get rich. I spent $30,000 to get as much as I could. And then I realized why I got them for such a good deal, and it was because it reprinted in Japan, which totally crashed the price, and my $30,000 within a week turned to about $25,000 of value. So even if I sold it all at market price, I was losing $5,000 and taking all that time. And so I had to decide, do I want to fire sell it, or do I want to just take the loss, or do I want to hold on to it hoping that it'll go up again?
Right.
And I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I fire sold a lot of it, and I lost a lot of money.
Wow, was it like
it was
in the thousands?
Oh yeah. I lost probably $8,000.
Jeez.
But I had to make that decision because with the money I got back, with the capital I took back out, I could buy sets that were more profitable. And I did a lot of math, and I realized, okay, if I lose, $8,000 here, I can at least put that into a different product, make $8,000 back. But it's stuff like that you just don't think about. You get greedy.
I'm realizing this business model really is just an entirely different beast from what a lot of us like Goodwill or yard sale resellers are used to. Buying something for $1 and flipping it for $20 in profit. It's like, no, like you're never gonna lose $8K on a yard sale hat.
Yeah.
And
I used to do that. I used to do that as a like almost full-time job, the garage sale thing. It was way better, way less scary.
All right, well, if that's what you're in, then you may be in the right field.
You're doing good.
Are you ready to begin? Yes, I think I am.
So folks, Brian has been so kind as to provide us with some actual Pokemon product to open here at no charge. Very kind of you, appreciate it.
You know, that's the least I could do.
I'm incredibly cheap, so this really tickles my heartstrings. As we're opening these, I want to hear from you. This year has been a pretty significant down year for Pokemon cards. It's a big bear market right now. A lot of people are scared. A lot of products are going down. How has your business been able to survive and actually thrive despite a bear market?
Yeah, you're not lying with the bear market situation. We have a few advantages. So number one, we have no real operating costs. Like we're out of my basement. The only costs that come to us are shipping labels, which they kind of come as business comes. Everything's just based on volume. I don't have a lot of like reoccurring expenses. So that's a huge advantage. Is just that's a dud.
I'm realizing I have no idea what does every pack even have a rare in it?
So these are Korean cards. So there's only 5 cards per pack. And yeah, there's really no guarantees pack per pack.
Okay, so you're really just looking for shiny stuff and hoping for the best.
You want to find the stuff that sparkles. That's the tip. But yeah, so a huge advantage is just controlling your expenses. Basically, like don't get over leveraged. Don't get some commercial space or a retail store without really knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because in these bear markets, these local game stores, there's a shiny guy, a little Entei.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Yeah, get a close up of that guy. And I also got a shiny guy. Look at this. Little Arcanine EX action.
Ooh, all right.
That thing is gorgeous. I love that they went back to EX too, because it's been how many years since they did EX?
I feel like at least.
That's like when my Pokemon
like
Prime,
when we were kids.
The EX cards were like what you wanted to get. This is fun. Okay, so you put your hits right down here, right?
Yeah, let's separate those.
Yeah, keeping costs super low has been so huge. Like the biggest reason I've been so slow to hire anybody in my business.
Yeah.
And only this year, 5 years into reselling, I just hired my first guy full time. Is like I'm just petrified of what could happen, not only for my income but also for Spencer's income.
That's what's scary.
Yeah, if
someone else relies on your income.
Right. Suddenly, like I'm on the hook for like not just my wife, but also his family. And that's really scary. So I think that's a very wise perspective.
And that's a new world for me. Because like I said, we just hired our first couple people part-time, but now we do have an expense that is reoccurring. So the bear market in that aspect, it could be scary. But besides expenses, it's just knowing your product and trusting in the market. Like I know that, or at least I'm very confident that the market will go back up. Yeah. English products will be worth a lot of money again. And I'm willing to wait for that. A lot of folks, they'll fire sell it like I did at the beginning. And then before you know it, 6 months goes by and you could have made, $5 a box if you would have just held on a little bit. So just knowing when to hold on and just how to manage that risk, it's essential. I
imagine that would be really scary with a relatively volatile market. Do you have that level of confidence just because Pokemon's been around for so long? I mean, it's been, 25, almost 30 years at this point?
Yeah, so the 25th anniversary was just a couple years ago, so we'll be at the 30th anniversary, before we know it.
Yeah.
And it's the highest grossing media franchise in history. Did you get something
Don't let me interrupt. I got something really cool.
Did you get something cool?
Yeah, I got I think that's Miraidon.
Oh, Miraidon. Let's go. Violet
Absolutely
mascot.
Gorgeous little motorcycle boy. That's
you got the pack
I'm
art.
beating you right now. You're just with the regular hollows, dude. I thought you did this professionally. So talk to me about, there are all kinds of different business models within Pokemon cards. It's not just like a sealed, primarily international product Wix store.
Yep.
Tell me about how else people might make money on Pokemon.
Yeah, and in a market like this, my model might not be great for beginners. So yeah, plenty of other models. A lot of folks, they just start off with singles. So they'll take their pretty, holographic, sparkly cards. They'll put them on tcgplayer.com, which is kind of like just eBay for Pokemon cards specifically. And they'll go that route. A lot of folks will get, nice cards like this and they'll grade them with PSA or Beckett or CGC.
Yeah.
And then they'll try to profit off the graded cards. So
because theoretically in graded form, if they're good grades, they'll be worth significantly more because that increases the rarity.
Exactly. But for that, you have to have the ability to look at a card and go, that's going to get a 9 or a 10. That's not, because it costs money to grade a card. So there's definitely a skill. Ooh, look at that. Okay, that's adorable.
Is he catching up?
That's actually adorable. Boom.
Oh, a full art too. I don't have one of those yet.
See, I'm catching up here.
There we go.
Korean's doing good. But yeah, I mean, that's a skill in and of itself. I don't touch singles or graded cards because there's just so many variables. I mean, you're looking at like centering and obviously these are brand new, but you get the vintage, they got scratches on them, they got scuffs, they got whitening. There's so many little elements that I don't personally do it, but it's very profitable for people.
There's a lot more like intricacies.
It's very nuanced.
Okay.
And so if you want something less nuanced, you know, you go the sealed route. A lot of folks, they do streaming. So they'll do exactly what we're doing. People basically buy packs, and then it's your job as a streamer to open the packs, hope you get something good, you know, congratulate the person. It's a whole community experience, and you make money that way. That's called like a rip and ship or being a breaker.
Okay.
So that's a really fun model, and that's one that you could pretty much get into without a lot of money up front. The trick there is personality is everything. So sealed product, you need capital. Singles, you need skills and kind of grading and knowing what to look for. Rip and ships, you definitely need a personality.
I'm opening a heavy first edition base set pack today, meaning there's more than likely a holographic card on the inside.
And then there's, you know, the high-end investors who they have a ton of capital. They have a real job. They don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
They just want to buy stuff, throw it in the closet, forget about it. And it usually appreciates pretty well. And so that's kind of a fourth model. Just, you got a lot of money,
just
invest.
buy and hold.
Just buy and hold.
Interesting. Do you have any idea how like sealed Pokemon product has compared to like the S&P 500, for example, over time in terms of like investment returns?
As far as the booster boxes, which are kind of the quintessential investment option, I don't have the stats.
I'm interrupting
No,
again.
interrupt me.
Hold on, folks.
We got something good.
We've got a little full art Scovillain? Is that what he's called?
Yeah, Scovillain.
So talk to me about...
Magnezone there. I'm interrupting you now. Little Magnezone EX.
I was going to ask you earlier about what is it about your business specifically that has a competitive advantage over other Pokemon card businesses? Because obviously you've had a ton of success. You're doing something right. What is it?
Yeah, so it's my face. It's my beautiful face.
The moneymaker.
The moneymaker. It's yeah. I mean, it's getting your face out there in front of the audience. It's what I wanted to do at the beginning is make a big business, multi-million-dollar business, but treat it like a little pop-up shop.
Yeah.
That was the goal, and I think I've achieved that. And that's what's big, because other sealed product websites, like my competitors, they do great business, they do a good job, but people don't know their name. People don't know their face. They don't know their dog's name. Like, my audience knows, we got a little Larvitar there.
Skipped a couple there. Whoopsies.
Yeah.
A little bit of sparkle there.
Like, my audience, they know my name, they know my dog's name, they know my favorite food is Oreos, they know my pop of choice is pet. They know everything about me. And so even if my prices were rough market, they'll still buy from me because, you know, they're not going to buy from a cold-hearted retail store. And any of my competitors, they're great people, but they don't put themselves out there as such. So it's just essential. Like, if you have a sealed product business, you need to put yourself out there.
Gosh, that's so true. And I think a big reason, in my estimation, that Whatnot has been so successful is it's just so much more fun and satisfying to buy from a person than it is to buy from a large corporation. 100%. So you're definitely leveraging your competitive advantage in that sense.
And not only that with streaming, but also your audience. Like, people, they become friends. Like, I've got folks, I used to stream a lot more than I did, but they are still in the Discord active with each other. You build a community, and like, your customers build more customers.
Yeah.
It's just snake eating its tail thing, reoccurring.
You mentioned also earlier that you used to be a yard sale flipper.
Yes.
Which is fascinating. That's my background as well. We don't do as much of that anymore. What did you take from that into this business, and what do you think that like resellers of all stripes have to learn from Pokini?
Yeah, so the yard sale times, those were super fun, and I took a lot from it. Number one, just you learn how to ship product. What do we got?
Got a really nice little iron treads there.
Ooh, okay, got some new Pokemon there.
Yeah, I played through. I beat
Paradox.
I beat Scarlet and Violet, folks.
Okay.
I'm a real gamer. Don't hater Hanks. You get out of the comment section. Go. You can go onto Brian's channel and bother him.
I haven't finished the game yet. Additionally, just basic customer service, delivering on what you sell, and being able to negotiate is important, especially when you get to like our Japanese and Korean folks that don't have like set prices necessarily. you learn how to negotiate just like you do at a garage sale. That's an essential skill.
Bulk discounts are huge.
Bulk discounts are essential.
Hey, if I've got a couple $1 million in the bank and can spend, at least a few thousand with you.
Yeah, you're gonna get a better deal.
Yeah.
Especially because just how shipping works, shipping a box this big from Japan barely costs less than shipping a box this big. So
wow.
They want you to get as much stuffed into that box as possible, and they'll work with you.
Look at this. My hollow stack is growing.
It's a fat stack.
This is a significant profit from this little Korean investment here, folks.
So much. You're looking at a couple $100,000 right there.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start a business and compete with you.
Can't wait for the comment section.
通信ケーブルでモンスター取り替えっこスーパーゲームボーイならカラーで綺麗仲間が増えるロールプレイングポケットモンスター
All right, so folks, as we get some of these shiny ones organized for you guys to see here, I'm curious to hear, with other Pokemon card businesses out there, what are some of the most common things they screw up?
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of different ways to market yourself and put yourself out there, and that's very important. As far as a more practical thing, taxes. It's such an important element that I think what a lot of people mess up is they think, oh, I'm selling Pokemon cards, this is fun, this is a hobby. While in fact they're making money, and they don't realize that, oh, hobbies that make money, you still got to pay taxes on.
Right.
And it seems silly for the business owners out there, but I've heard some nightmare stories, myself included, where you don't declare taxes, you don't do your income right, and you either get hit by a huge government bill that's very scary, or you're kind of cutting into your own money, like you forget tax write-offs.
Right.
People don't, that's a huge mistake. People don't realize that this chair, my streaming chair, this is a tax write-off. I think that's what people mess up the most, is they don't consider the business elements of such a fun hobby.
Yeah, that makes it, because it is fun, but it's also a business.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, I imagine a lot of people watching this will see it and say,
I sure hope you're giving Editor Riff a raise because holy crap, this video's long.
The ship has kind of already sailed, right? Yeah. It's not 2020 anymore. Pokemon is not what it used to be. I do love the product and I'd like to try, but I feel like it's too late. Can people actually still get into this business in 2024, or do you recommend looking elsewhere?
You get that all the time, and I think YouTubers get it too. Like, oh, is it too late to start YouTube?
Yeah.
It's not too late, and it's actually, this is gonna sound cliche, but it's a really good time to get in because, you've all heard the meme or the saying, like, oh, if there's a fire, run towards the flames, don't run away. Like, investing 101, you buy stuff when people don't want it. And with Pokemon, right now, it is a bear market, and everything is very low value as far as, English products. The MSRP is $160, and the market price on a lot of it's like $100.
Yeah.
But should be used to your advantage. If you've got some capital especially, now would be the time to make those relationships with distributors or even just vendors like me. Get the inventory now while it's cheap, and then once the 30th anniversary comes around, it will shift. Then you're ready.
Yeah.
If you start, even if you're starting a little eBay business, a little TCG player business, if you start now while the market's then you're going to be established. You're going to know what you're doing. You're going to have all the boxes and the shipping knowledge and the tax knowledge. You're going to have all that for when the market does come back.
Next time Logan Paul drops another live stream.
When Logan decides to open some more, you're ready, because it's so hard. If you wait for the business, the market to get huge again, you're going to have to start right from scratch, and it's going to be too late. It takes a year to get good at this business. So start now.
That's a great point. And these are people forget, these are normal market conditions.
Yeah.
This is not some crazy, oh, the sky is falling. It's kind of going back to how it always has been. So
it should be.
Yeah. It's a great time to get in. And I'm curious for you, we talked about it a little bit before, but in this business, what's your end game?
So my end game, financial freedom was a big one, and I've achieved that. And at this point now,
well done, by the way.
Thank
That's
you
inspiring.
so much.
I love to hear that.
It's very, and I get to do it in a fun way. It's fun.
Totally.
So my end game is to make this remain fun. In the first couple years, I'm very small, and I lost 15 pounds, which is nuts. I wasn't eating, I wasn't working out. So maintain financial freedom while still eating well, going to the gym, seeing friends and family, because I've failed to do that too. And I've achieved all that. So now all I want to do is continue. Just maybe 5 million in revenue a year would be
a modest 5 million.
A modest, yes. that would be My dogs are going crazy. Okay, we each get a dog now. Yeah, like 5 million a year. I think anything more than that, I would need to hire like more full-time people. I might need to get out of the basement, and I just have no interest in that. I don't want a big company. Just something to pay the bills, which I don't have
Scale
a
the
lot of
revenue,
bills.
not the obligations.
Yes, just maintain. I just want to play with my dogs. Like that's it. Oh goodness. I think the postal service might be here.
This whole experience has reminded me a lot of a video that I recently made on how I built my business to a much more modest 3 million in 5 years. If you guys are interested in checking that one out, we'll link it right down here. You can buy Brian's Pokemon cards at pokene.com or check him out on YouTube. And until next time, we'll catch you guys on the flip.